Today's guilty verdict in the Raj Rajaratnam case is a success for the federal crackdown on insider trading crimes. For more on the effects of the government's investigations, we've assembled a taking stock think tank. Jacob Frenkel, he is a partner at Shulman Rogers. He joins us from Washington. He's a former prosecutor and SEC enforcement attorney. Also with us, Bloomberg Law's Lee Pacchia. He's the host for B-Law on-demand programs here at Bloomberg. He is a former practicing attorney specializing in corporate restructuring and bankruptcies. And also we have Michael Perino. He is a professor of law at St. John's University School of Law, also the author of the book, The Hellhound of Wall Street, a look at the Pacchia Commission. Let's begin with you, Michael. As someone that has studied the history of Wall Street, is this going to mark a severe change in the way Wall Street does business?
In some ways, yes, and in some ways, no. In terms of the actual allegations of insider trading here, there wasn't much new ground here. These are pretty standard insider trading allegations. He got advanced warning or tips about mergers, about earnings announcements, about major investments by Warren Buffett and Goldman Sachs. That's nothing new. What's new here are the wiretaps. What's new here is taking an enforcement tool that's been used in other areas of law, terrorism, drug cases, and applying it to this white-collar crime area. That's something I think that people are going to take notice of.
Lee,
right.
The wiretaps seem
Certainly.
to be the issue that everyone is focused on in terms of how this is going to change the future.
That's right. That drove this case from the beginning, and it's certainly going to drive the appeal. And if the use of this kind of evidence is held up on appeal, I think we're going to see a change in the way the dynamics of insider trading cases work. The metaphor was used before that this is a larger fishing net. I like the metaphor that it's a larger flashlight that's going to allow people to see more of what's going on in the financial community. I think we might see more cases brought in the future based on this type of tactics.
Jacob Frenkel, a bigger flashlight perhaps for the Securities and Exchange Commission. There is a civil suit pending against Raj Gupta, former head of McKinsey and business collaborator with Raj Rajaratnam. How would today's verdict change operations at the SEC?
Well, I don't think it's going to have much of an effect on the SEC. I think one of the interesting issues that's really in play here, as we're talking about the SEC's case against Mr. Gupta, as well as other insider trading cases that the SEC has brought out of the broader Galleon investigation, is the right of the SEC to have access to the wiretaps, which theoretically they should not be able to get directly from the Justice Department, but instead are getting through this roundabout route by demanding discovery from the defendants whom they charged. That is something that I think is somewhat troublesome. Whether it's the Department of Justice or the SEC, I think both are looking at today's conviction as really an emboldening opportunity, because as my colleagues have already shared with you, the existence of the wiretaps really represent a sea change in how these investigations have been and will continue to be conducted. But the ability to do so was driven by opportunity. Cooperators early on, who in essence were forced in their desire to cooperate to create this avenue of an investigative technique. So I think the SEC certainly benefits from an energetic perspective, but substantively, I think the real issue that interests me in the Gupta case is the decision of the SEC to bring that case administratively rather than in the federal courts, where discovery is much more limited. And there, Mr. Gupta has filed an action in federal court against the SEC. Be curious to see how that plays out.
Jacob Frenkel, do you think that's going to be successful? Do you think Raj Gupta will be successful in his suit?
In getting the case removed to federal court,
yes.
The short answer is I don't. Oh, you think? I don't know the answer to that, because the SEC has a right to bring the action administratively, and on rare occasions in the past has done so. I hope he is successful, or alternatively, that there be something said that really grants a much broader range of discovery in cases in the administrative process, because clearly that's a significant home court advantage for the SEC.
Lee, hedge funds.
All right.
Are they going to be changing the way that they do business? Because if you can find a weak link, then it seems as though the feds can actually build a case.
Right. You have to imagine a whole slew of hedge fund managers today sitting up and taking notice of this news. I would imagine it certainly changes the way that they do business day to day.
Michael, the Pacchia Commission, which is the topic of your book, The Hellhound of Wall Street, that came at a time when people were looking for someone to blame.
True.
Is there an element in that today?
In a way, there is, although in many ways this is a sideshow. I think people are still looking for someone to blame, but they're looking for someone to blame for the financial crisis. This isn't about the financial crisis. This is run-of-the-mill insider trading allegations that we've had, every decade or so. And so I don't think we have that person to blame yet.
And is it likely that we'll get one?
Well, as we get farther and farther away from the events.
You can use wiretaps now.
But you can't wiretap the past.
Well said. All right, we're going to leave it there. I want to thank you very much. Michael Perino joining us. Lee Pacchia, thank you very much. Jacob Frenkel, thank you.